gentlemen, welcome back to Red Bull Battlegrounds. It's time to jump into another matchup here for Group D. We've got Squirtle taking on Rhett.
Yeah, and Squirtle right now is 2-0 in the group. Rhett is 1-1. There's a possibility that if Rhett wins this, 2-1 could potentially advance. We had Last Shadow already matching up against Parting to speed the night along, and Last Shadow was eliminated in 0-3, so this is the last match of the entire group. So there's going to be kind of a weird tiebreak situation that occurs depending on how Rhett does, and we'll have more updates on that throughout the match as we compute what the odds are.
All right, well, we're going to be jumping into the first map, which is going to be Cloud Kingdom here between Rhett and Squirtle. There's Rhett already. He's ready to go. He's ready to rock and roll, and, you know, the ZVP is something that Rhett has been working on quite a bit. But I'll tell you what, Parting, he's certainly one of those competitors that can put a kibosh on that he wants to advance on along with Squirtle, and we are going live with this game, Sean.
And, you know, I mean, Rhett, I think, made a very smart observation that a lot of the Korean players, when they think, oh, I'm playing against a foreigner, they'll just try to play safe and play long, and Rhett's going to exploit this by kind of over-droning. But suddenly that mentality was shattered in his last series where Parting did the two-base all-in twice. What will Squirtle do? It's time to find out. In the bottom left, from Team Liquid, if he can cinch the series 2-0, he may be able to advance to the playoffs. It is Liquid Rhett.
And in the Northeast, as the Red Protoss looking to defeat Rhett so he can advance with his Protoss brethren, it is Startail Parting. You know, something that's interesting, Sean, in that previous game.
It's Squirtle.
Did I say?
It's a Parting.
Isn't it Parting?
In the top right corner, coming all the way from Korea, the teammate of Startail Parting, it is Startail Squirtle.
My bad.
Who here cheered for Parting?
They're like, I don't care if it's not him, I still like him the best.
Did they play another best of three? That would be remarkable.
Yes. Can you tell us then, Rhett was showing some frustration about an Immortal All-In, something that you mentioned earlier. He talked a little bit about how he feels like even if he macros, even if he has his perfect injects, that it's a terribly difficult thing to hold off.
Oh, yeah, and it's a really simple build, too. I mean, in all honesty, you expand, and then you build the Robo fairly quickly after your Cybernetics core finishes. Oh, that was adorable. He made a waypoint heart. But, you know, as quickly as possible, trying to rush out with 2 to 3 Immortals and then just pushing all in. With the 3 Immortals, 2 Immortals, a Warp Prism, and 7 to 8 Warp Gates behind. You're building sentries the whole time, so you're fairly safe to all in as well. And Rhett lost to the identical build twice to Parting, knowing it was coming. And if he loses a total 4 times, you can bet there will be an angry tweet. Yeah, now something that's kind of interesting is that Chef definitely had some words. And we got the double block here as we'll see both pylons go down. He did not bring out 2 drones to try to split that at all. But Chef said, you know, you really have to take kind of a different mentality if you're trying to actually deflect it. You have to almost just throw the whole concept of macroing away, go with a massive set of spines, and use your drones to hold off. Meanwhile, a lot of your units then are sent down to your opponent's base where you try to just do the damage there and, you know, almost do a quick little trade. But here we have the first Zerglings out. He is going to go ahead and remove pylon number 1 while we see Squirtle continuing to build his SimCity at the front. And there it is. It's going to go down. Now, we did have cancellation on the other. This is devious. This probe just sitting here. Now, I honestly think that though it might just seem like a straight cannon rush, Zergs have been having so much ease just repelling these probe scouts through the range 5 queen. This could be a very nice maneuver to go in, and there it is. Check if there's going to be any gas going down in the main base, avoiding the Zerglings, but there's Rhett right there to deal with the probe. He desperately wants to get around and see if the gas geysers are up, and he doesn't get to do it.
He might have wanted to take a trip around the mineral line, but wasn't able to do it. Tried to beeline over to that Vespene geyser, and unfortunately did not see a thing. But the third hatch did go down for Rhett, so he is able to get down what he wanted to get. He's also got this Overlord directly inside his opponent's base for vision on what could get thrown down here within the pocket of the natural. And there is the cybernetics core off of that. So didn't see the gases, just droning up at this point. Rhett looking like Rhett normally does.
And you know, if you get an early enough cybernetics core, you really just don't have the resources to kind of sneak out extra pylons. So right now, Rhett literally knows where all the pylons are, and as a result, this is a brilliantly placed Overlords. Anything up here might be able to escape the vision of this one, but with the 2 in there, he can see everything that is up. And either way, that is it's quite a late cybernetics core when compared with a lot of modern strategies that involve, you know, getting that cybernetics core down at 430, 425.
Sure. So it's definitely going to be coming much later, but both of the hatcheries now done for Rhett, and you know what that means. It means build a lot of drones. Still no gases down inside his main. You can see that Overlord just kind of scooting up and seeing what he can find, and he does see that both of those gases while the Stargate gets thrown down. Now, what's interesting is that that Overlord typically spots that Stargate. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to see it with this other one. He hasn't swung around quite yet, but it looks like Stalker number 1 is going to eliminate that one Overlord in the north side of his base, but will he be able to swing around and see that this is coming?
So Liquid Rhett looks like he might be able to leave. No, he does manage to lose that one Overlord, but in Liquid Rhett's build, he does actually plan to lose those Overlords. Those are sort of intentional suicides to make sure that he gets that good amount of spotting. And this is quite interesting, Marcus. He actually does not have a Roach Warren going down at all as he sees that Void Ray coming out from Squirtle. And this is a very, very late Void Ray in the grand scheme of things. I would not be surprised. Ooh, that's kind of an interesting choice. I would not be surprised to see Squirtle play fairly passively with this single Void Ray.
Yeah, he did throw down that Roach Warren. It's about halfway done at this point. But here come the gateways behind this. 1, 2, 3. Looks like he's going to throw down a 4th one. And there it is. Is he going to go even with an additional one? I think he might actually do that. And there it is. So he's going to go up to 6 gateways total with the one at his front.
And 7 gateways total. And this Void Ray can be so confusing with a timing like this. You expect to have a huge slew of Phoenixes and Void Rays coming in, but with that really late timing, it almost seems moot to do air harass. Most Zergs are going to easily deflect this by literally making drones and a couple Queens. So right now, Rhett, hey, protecting all those Overlords, which has been a problem for him throughout the event, but I think Squirtle could do just game-winning damage with this all-in. And look at this, making a second Void Ray, such a brilliant play. It's the big ground push. Yeah, and you know, behind this, of course, we do see Rhett gearing up to have that ground army that he knows and loves, his speed, the burrow, +1 air attacks for the Zerg, and you know, well, what are we gonna see? Is he just gonna continue to pump out as many roaches as he possibly can at this point? He does not have a Spore Crawler here at the natural, but this one Void Ray did not poke in to actually see it. The proxy pylon is going up right now, and this looks like it will be a strong little force moving in. Looks like Rhett is at the very least going to realize that this push is coming, but no, he's going to have to pull back. He's going to try to take down this pylon. He's going to try to intercept, but Rhett has to know that he is up against another all-in against the 2 top Korean pros. He has been up against only all-ins back to back to back, and the Queen's trying to target fire that single Void Ray. The Void Ray falls Void Ray does not fall at all. The Queens fall very swiftly.
Yeah, they do. And you know, a lot of these units trapped by the force fields, now trying to move around. A couple of roaches from the back, still trying to keep the aggression going, but another Warp In coming up the ramp right now. And with those Void Rays in play, there's not a whole lot that he could do. All of the drones are going to have to come out, and if he cannot hold it right here, the third base will most certainly go down.
And it looks like he did manage to pick off one Void Ray. The drone stepping into the fray, and he'll be able to do a surprising amount of damage. And Liquid Rhett has the one tool that could allow him to stay alive in this game. He does have Burrow. There is not a single robo facility up right now for the Protoss player, and right now as Squirtle continues to try to shove into the main base, he does not have that many techniques to continue to pressure if this does fail.
Oh, and he does manage to just pull back a little bit. There is the burrow that you were talking about. He's got several low health stalkers here. We're going to see another Queen fall as well. If he could get rid of that Void Ray too, that would put him in a much better position. He can somehow try to draw him forward, but right now that Void Ray, not quite yet. He's going to try to go after these units once again, and it does look like he'll be able to push his opponent out.
Oh, Rhett, the king of drones, managing to push this attack all the way back. And right there, Squirtle will be repelled in 2 angles. And I don't believe it. Rhett has held the all-in.
very nicely. He did lose quite a few drones in the process, but now he's going to chase these units down. Not a whole lot here back in the main base. A few zealots and another sentry is being warped in, and that Void Ray is going to be on the prowl, trying to take out as many roaches as he possibly can. Here he moves forward, but he only gets one roach trapped there. A couple of force fields are burned out. The problem is can Rhett actually attack here? This Void Ray is coming back. We have that robotics facility about ready to come up, but he's still observerless.
And it looks like only just now is that observer popping out. I mean, if you're in Squirtle's position, you have to do some heavy chrono boosting in the probe count just to catch up to the Zerg player. And then after that, I mean, you are behind on tech. You don't have +2. We see Phoenix is starting to be produced. A very surprising transition from Squirtle. But honestly, if you are unable to get out of your base, you may as well make maximum use of all the buildings you have invested in.
Yeah, that Void Ray comes back over while Rhett is clearing out the pylons. He gets the 2 at the bottom of the ramp at his third. Queen going to move forward, see if she can finally get that final bit of damage done and take out that Void Ray, but it will quickly get out of there. Now, there are still 2 additional pylons over on the east side that Rhett does not know about quite yet, and there that Phoenix is spotted by these roaches. Roach speed is done. He's getting tunneling claws now, +2 missile attacks, and pathogen glands on the way.
I mean, this is a pretty comfortable position for Rhett to be in. As long as he can take down the third base, he is going to be more than fine. But the problem is Squirtle, despite the failure of that all-in, is in a pretty decent space because of the number of drones he killed off. 12 might not seem like that much, but Rhett was cutting drones to begin with and then lost 12. A very, very rough spot to try to make a comeback play from. And actually, that one Phoenix was just to scout everything in the main base because Squirtle, I mean, playing largely in the dark is right now. Oh, and it looks like he will not really be able to finish off that forge as he pushes those units back and then goes for the killing blow. A great lead right now for Liquid Red.
Yeah, actually just forcing out those force fields was quite good. That you could see the energy on those sentries is starting to deplete just a little bit, but those roaches getting caught up here in the center at the top of the ramp. He will go ahead and burrow and move underneath. That tunneling claws couldn't have come at a better moment.
And now Rhett in classic macro mode, starting to hit 2 sides at once. And here he is working his way into the main base. Oh, a huge crack at that top side of the cybernetics core, and the main is wide open.
Oh yeah, he's going to be able to continue to rally these roaches over as well. And he has burrow, so he's going to need to have that detection there if he can get it. Meanwhile, more roach pressure here at the third as well. He does have that Void Ray up, but not enough stalkers to be able to deal with these roaches. A few more zealots warp in, but will it be enough?
And it looks like with burrow, he can easily burrow wherever there is no observer at the third base. Liquid Red trying to do his best to overrun and succeeding. More probes at that third base, completely vulnerable in the main base. The economy has been virtually decimated with only 10 workers killed. It looks like Squirtle is running very dry. Places to mine from.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Rhett needs to be a little bit careful. He's got a lot of units that are still rallied over to this side of the base, and we can see there after things have calmed just a little bit. 50 harvesters, that's right. Rhett held that. He had a nice counterattack. You can clap, it's okay. 50 harvesters for the Protoss, 62 drones for Rhett. A few of those overlords that were rallied over from that rally point are trying to get out of there as quickly as they possibly can, but Rhett continues this aggression.
I mean, I think Rhett might be overcommitting slightly, getting into one of those modes of, oh, well, as long as I keep rallying roaches, there's no way he can hold me off. But it looks like, indeed, Squirtle has an answer, now springing back into action with the same composition that gave Rhett so many headaches in the first series. And now with Blink, Rhett suddenly on the run, may have overcommitted.
Yeah, he's got a fourth base down. He has been pumping out a ton of roaches. A lot of damage was done, but not enough to actually call it an all kill at this point. More drones did come out. The first infestors are on the way, and the hive is now underway. Void Ray continuing to be an issue. And now, will he have enough to defend here at his third base? He's got a couple of infestors. He drops down a few fungals, but he really doesn't have the ground army to be able to clean this up.
He's trying to get all the sentries in that mixture and going to try to hit it from both sides with the roaches. The infestors do get a very nice fungal. The immortal falls, and the reinforcing pylon from Squirtle is so potent. Rhett having to burrow all the infestors and is forced to retreat. The single Void Ray at 16 kills Master Void Ray. And right now, Rhett does have that money 71 drone count, and Squirtle is in a weird economic position after all that counterattack.
He's going to try to possibly get rid of that. No, he does get the fungal off, and he will finally get rid of the Void Ray. After so much damage that thing did, he was finally able to get rid of it. Now Rhett taking position here in the middle of the map, but it looks like we do have Squirtle pretty much equalizing things right here. He's stabilized on his side. This fourth base is going back up, and here it looks like Rhett's going to go in for another attack.
Rhett moving in. He needs to be careful and get those infestors aligned with that army. Obviously, you want to be able to try to nab those Blink Stalkers with a nice fungal, but at the same time, you also want to make sure you don't get blinked on and lose all your infestors, which might happen to Rhett right now as he is getting surrounded. We see a huge number of the infested Terrans getting thrown down, and Rhett is very much so overcommitting to this aggression. I don't think that he is behind right now, and oh, the Colossus!
Oh, so close. He just needs the one quick focus fire to take it down. It's got a little bit of health remaining.
He just needs to recognize, but no, it looks like Liquid Red does not take that down, but still eliminating a lot of workers at the natural expansion. And with this macro mode, this game is just insane, Marcus.
Yeah, absolutely crazy, and I cannot believe that Squirtle's been able to hold on as well. It looked like Rhett was going to be able to rally his way to victory, but that just absolutely is not the case. Somehow that Colossus still remains alive. It went all the way down to 17 hit points, no shield, and here we have more units gathering up here for Rhett. Is he going to try to go for another multi-pronged attack here? There are no more cannons here, but there is an observer with this army, so he's got to be careful.
Rhett didn't
from the back.
clean up these proxy pylons, and he's just been way too aggressive all game long. But fortunately, Squirtle is going for the most easily defendable location at this point, unless Rhett still tries to engage, bringing in more infestors. This is a lot of roaches.
It is, and you know what? This Colossus almost going down still. He's going to bring all of his units forward. Some bungles do go down. Another Colossus pops out right in front of this Roach army. And unfortunately, Rhett has to retreat back. He's going to go for another fungal on top.
Oh,
not wanting to go
one
yet.
Colossus,
Great job.
two Colossus. But Squirtle continues to clean up. Rhett just needs to stop being so over-aggressive. Oh no, Liquid Rhett will lose the third base hatch.
That's unfortunate. It does go down. He did move his drones back to this pocket third as well, but he doesn't really have that much in terms of a ground army here. These Zealots looking to do a little bit more damage, moving into the third, but those Roaches are there to stop it. And look at the amount of Corruptors that are out. That's great, but Rhett killed two of those Colossus in that last battle. There's just one remaining, and there's another one in production. Of course, he's got to wait for that Greater Spire to finish up before he can actually move into Broodlords.
You know, I really don't think Broodlord tech is going to help Rhett at this point in time. He needs to just commit to Lings, Roaches, Corruptors, and now he has to make something happen. He had a huge window where he didn't have to make something happen, where he actually needed to sit back and just expand. But, I mean, over-aggression can get you in a lot of trouble as Zerg. Roaches are not as nimble as Medivacs. They can't just get in and out that easily. And especially with the amount of forces that Rhett was committing, this huge Colossus Stalker force could go very, very poorly. And oh, the Roach is caught on the wrong side. The fourth is gonna go down again.
Yep, the blink on top. A cancellation is forced. Now there are some Lings making their way over. Do stop the production of that fourth Nexus here, at least momentarily. And there's not much, well, there is a couple of sentries and a single photon cannon here. And Rhett's not really gonna be able to commit to an attack right there without just throwing those units away, so he wisely backs off.
And I think this follow-up play from Rhett is quite smart. If he's going for a slow Broodlord Infestor mixture, he has to expand close to where the Protoss is expanding and try to just force the army to be in one spot. If he has taken the bottom side, Broodlords can't really defend that and attack the north side at the same time.
Is he going to check for this base? He does with the single stock, always on point. Single stalker going for the scout. He sees it. He's going to be able to force a cancel. We do have a few Lings moving up here along with the Roaches to the front of the main base yet again. Is he going to go in and commit for an attack? He's going to send the Lings directly to the main.
Great nab on the Colossus by Liquid Rhett, managing to take that down in the main base. You see the Templar Archives in production, but all Rhett is trying to do is to buy more time. These units, though, guaranteed to fall, as there is a huge army of Stalker Colossus coming up from the back.
Yeah, I mean, he did have to pull the back. Zealots going in to eliminate these Lings inside the main. Unfortunate there wasn't a follow-up attack to try to do something to this third base, but, you know, it's not much he could do. Now we got the Broodlords out, a few Corruptors, the Infestors and Lings as well. And you mentioned that he needed to have a more Ling-padded army. He's thrown away all of his roaches. What's coming out next? Well, more Broodlords.
Gosh, he is going to end up with 13 Broodlords at this point. We see 3 Archons. Woo, getting morphed. That is a super problem for the Broodlord Infestor army. I mean, you can pick off the Broodlings with relative ease. Fungals don't do nearly as much. And there the Observer just spotted the gigantic Broodlord Infestor force. Now it's time to start adding on more Infestors. Time to start adding on more drones. Lings are going to be increasingly obsolete at this phase in the game.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be tougher and tougher. Maybe once he gets rid of a few of these Colossus and additionally the Archons, but that's going to be a tough job within itself. He did get this base back up, which he desperately needs. He's mined out of minerals completely at the natural, and you can see this army moving forward. He really, really wants to poke in for an attack, but still, even though knowing he's got a nice little lead on his opponent, Squirtle is still going to be playing somewhat passive.
And at this point, all Squirtle's really going to be going for is that mothership. We see that fleet beacon coming in. All the other key pieces to the army are in place. He has the Archons, the Stalkers, everything he could ever dream of, and he might try to make a push right now. Nope, just trying to scoot and clear out a path, possibly to make sure that even just a single Stalker can return home safely.
Well, make sure retain those units as much as you possibly can. Actually, Lings will get the surround, so this base will stay up, but it's going to be in a weakened state for quite a while. A few more Stalkers and Archon going to head down to clean that up, finish up the Lings as well, and I think that's smart. Again, Squirtle just putting together small hit squads to move out and eliminate those threats. I mean, basically, Brett is so hard up for a new base, and it's just been denied all game here by Squirtle.
Looks like we do see Rhett continuing to start to move forward after a long period of aggression, some trades in his favor, some trades not, finally starting to make the big push forward. Mothership is not out yet. If it does pop up, it's not going to be doing too much damage, as it will not have that vortex up, and this is a little bit of an odd angle. Trying to do the swing around, but Rhett zoning it very well. The Broodlings continuing to pick off some of these units at the front. If it could get a sentry, that would be amazing.
Oh, he is going to get one.
Do get a sentry. Oh, man, Squirtle is putting himself in the worst possible position on the map. Oh, my God, this is the moment where Rhett could actually pull this off.
He might be able to, as we see more Broodlords coming out here, but that army's going to take quite a while to swing around. We also did have a Warp Prism thwarted there at the natural of Rhett. A few Stalkers were warped in, but he had some Corruptors there to deal with the Warp Prism, and now this army is in the back of the mothership. Where is it going to pop from? From the third? Yes, it will pop from the third. He, of course, will get the cloaking advantage of that, but he's not going to have enough energy for a vortex quite yet.
Oh, Archon circlings. Looks like there is a little bit of a confrontation at the fourth base. Rhett does manage to take it out. Rhett's play, yes, to retreat. He is just going to pull back. I like this play, but if he continues to push forward, he might walk directly into this trap that Squirtle wants. All Rhett needs to do right now is control the fourth base and make sure he doesn't walk into a vortex.
Yeah, he's got to be very, very careful. Right now, there is 76 energy on this mothership. If he can hide it just for a little while, he'll be able to swing in from the back, drop a vortex, and get the job done. There is some detection here in this Overseer, and here we have a few infested Terrans thrown out. Is that 88 energy? He's just waiting to get up to 100, up to 90 now, trying to eliminate this threat as best as he can and keeping his army back.
A lot of infested Terrans being lobbed up. The Broodlord line is extensive. We're starting to see some fungals on the top. 100 energy. Will he get the vortex? And he does manage to get some units, but it is not the vortex he wanted. But it looks like the unit count is starting to get quite high for Squirtle, and this is a very dangerous position for Liquid Red to be in. The Broodlords are spread out. Can he possibly avoid death by the vortex? No, it looks like they're all the units spread out, and Liquid Red's army gets obliterated.
Yes, absolutely devastated. All of the infestors popping up, even some force fields for good measure coming out there, so they cannot escape. And now the final Broodlords will fight until the death. Unfortunately, the last one left standing will fall, and Rhett finds himself at 93 supply to 116 versus Squirtle. It looks like we're gonna have a Link counterattack, but will it be enough to force his opponent back to this third?
And it looks like this is a relatively small amount of probes at this expansion. Most of them are heading down mining at the 4th base, and Squirtle knows he just needs to take out the 4th, and there's almost nothing that Rhett can do.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the 3rd is mined out. These drones would have to be long-distance mining here, but this base is going to go down. More Links heading on in, doing some damage at the 3rd, but that 4th is about ready to come up as well, and he should be able to stabilize off of that. The mothership back into play here, defending the 3rd and these probes, and I'm not really sure what Rhett can even do. You can see nothing in the production bar, and he may just be kind of running the game through his head, processing that a little bit, because he does not have much left to fight with.
This must be just such a frustrating game for Rhett to have had the huge lead and to try to close it out. The good game. Squirtle takes the win. But Rhett clearly was in such a good spot in the early game that just breaks my heart to see.
Yeah, I mean, holding off a defense like that, really, really solid. He had some great attacks there as well, up against Squirtle, where he was separating a lot of his units, sending some into the main, some to the natural, attacking the 3rd at the same time. But there did become a point where that started to really work against Rhett as he continued to get more and more roaches and more, you know, attacking units. But, you know, what do you think? Like, at what point do you think Rhett should have just stopped, held back, moved on to his next line of tech?
I mean, I just think after the first little bit of damage with that first double-pronged attack, I mean, it doesn't take much to really throw off a lot of Protosses early on. I mean, if you can just kill off a couple of probes, make sure they're pulled back a little bit, and most importantly, reduce their army size to where they just can't do a big push. Almost always comes down to sentries. If you kill off a lot of sentries early on, then they have to spend gas on the Twilight, on the upgrades, on Colossus. Anything you name is more gas that they can't really afford to dump into the sentries.
Sure.
But Rhett just kept drilling in front and buildings kind of act as permanent force fields for a lot of Rhett's units, and it just zoned them a little bit too well. And it looks like Rhett will be choosing, I think, Daybreak, the clear map.
I would have been shocked if he would choose anything but Daybreak, to be completely honest with you. I think it's a map that Rhett excels at. If he can get to that 4 or 5 base and get those Broodlords up, get the Spine Crawlers down in the middle of the map before the rocks are broken, that's where he really likes to be. So I love watching Daybreak ZVP as well, so I'm excited for this matchup.
I'm also curious if we're going to see a completely different style come out of Squirtle on this map, because I don't know if he's just thinking, yeah, you know what, I'm probably qualified for my group. If I win a game in this series, I'm likely to be advancing to the next round. Let's just try to go for the big all-in. And if he tries to do play out another long game, I'd be a little surprised, honestly, if he doesn't try to do some sort of long-term play.
We're going to find out here momentarily. It looks like both players are about ready to start. Rhett down a game here versus Squirtle. Both players are ready. We hear the countdown, and we're going to get this one started.
Looks like it is going to be possibly the last game